I always think it was almost like a Hoshin cascade.
I see something that worries me in lean at the moment.
Of
It's
course, I
habit
want to.
thing, isn't it?
It is a habit forming. Yeah,
Yeah.
What's the problem you're
You-
trying to solve?
no,
yeah.
no. The problem is I've got no Kanbans.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rest is Lean podcast with my fine colleague John D. Say hello, John D.
Hello, everybody.
And Russell Watkins. Say hi,
Hello,
Russ.
John has a pint of vodka there by the look of it.
And me, Alan Lothian. So, how have you been, guys? I've had a good few weeks.
Yeah, really nice. Thank you very much. I've been enjoying the sunshine, building decking, recycling wood that I found knocking around in my garden because I'm that lean. And yeah, just fielding a fair number of inquiries from clients new and old.
And John, in doing all of that,
Yes.
did you use your not inconsiderable problem-solving skills in building your deck?
My top tip for this whole scenario is pull the nails out of the reused wood before you build a deck that you're going to walk on.
Yeah, okay, nice.
Fair play.
And we'll leave that
Or-
there.
But it's funny, because I strongly believe that problem-solving skills and the knowledge of change points and abnormality helps in normal life.
Mm.
So my mum, force of nature, 80 years old. She recently had a problem with her wrists.
Yeah.
They were playing up. And she called me up and said, I think unfortunately, because she's disabled, she walks on two sticks. She said, I think unfortunately 50, 60 years of walking on sticks has caught up with my wrists and they're just going to hell in a handcart. And I said, well, hang on a second. That is the most obvious explanation, but I always worry about the obvious explanation. I said, has anything changed? Is there anything at all that you're doing differently in the last week that you weren't before? She said, nope, nothing. It's all the same. It's a fact that I'm disabled. I say, okay, fair enough. I get a phone call back an hour later. Well, I've been
What or
thinking,
something.
it's been cold in my flat, and I've been clutching a long water bottle I have like that, really close to my body with my wrists bent in a static position. She said, and I'm going to stop doing that, and maybe it'll help. Three days later, my wrist secured. It's a miracle. Praise God.
No, I was going to say, Russ, on that note then, so what have you been up to apart from getting into the Good Ladies Good Books?
Skipping around as usual. Spent some time in Leeds, Leicester, various places, different businesses, and this last week I've been in Ireland.
Yeah, I heard of that. I saw a lot of great posts on LinkedIn, my friend. You can tell us more about it? Did you get back in one
Well,
piece? Looks like
I
it.
did get back in one piece. I got back Wednesday night, and I flew out Sunday afternoon. I went out because I formed some nice relationships with some really strong people out in Northern Ireland. We talked about it before. There's a burgeoning 2 second lean scene in
Mhm.
Ireland, the north of Ireland, and the island of Ireland actually. And so I got an invite from Alison Roddy, who organises the Northern Ireland Lean Cluster once a quarter. 150 manufacturers get together.
Mhm.
And I decided to weave it in with a tour of some of the best 2 second lean companies. So I flew into Dublin
Okay.
on Sunday afternoon, hired a car, learned to drive a manual transmission car again, to see Kevin Brady at Applied Concepts, which was great. Kevin, if you're listening, Kevin, you have one of the best design brains I've come across. One of the few designers who's made the leap into operations and designs based on customer need and manufacturability concurrently. Really, really good brain. And I saw Rachel there as well, and Matt, and yeah, it was great. Mark, sorry, it was great. And then I drove on to ATC down in Limerick, stayed overnight in Limerick. I saw Mary Clifford at ATC, had a walk around her plant, helped her with a scheduling board. I drove across then to Adman Sheds, who are doing a great job. Paul Nolan and Alison Roddy, who's interim ops from there, talked about laying out their new factory and how that's going to work. And he wins a prize for the best merch this week.
Ooh,
Look at that,
Ah,
personalized merch.
beautiful.
lovely.
And then I went to speak up in at the Northern Ireland cluster, which was interesting. And my point was, I see something that worries me in lean at the moment, and I see a tendency to move towards trying to hack your way to leanness.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is if I do a bit of 3S, 5S, if I do some huddles, if I put some SOPs in, if I stack up all these things, eventually I will get to a place of being lean as a
Yeah,
business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's nothing there about embedding habits or worrying about how you take a
yeah.
drawing good idea all the way through to mass production, or how do you flow stuff through the business, the
Yeah.
hard
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
It
And
quite
so,
quite interesting the number of people. I'm sure we could all pick them out where you think you've done a good job inspiring a group or taking people on a tour, and yeah, I hope some of these people are starting to get it. And then certain people will go, "Oh, right, that was marvelous. Kanban's really called to me, so now I'm going to go and tell my people to put some Kanbans in."
yeah, yeah.
And
What's the problem you're
you,
trying to solve?
no,
Yeah.
no. The problem is I've got no Kanbans. So then
Yeah.
the
Oh,
poor souls
yeah,
in their business, you can just imagine saying,
yeah,
I've got to put a Kanban in. What I've got to think of something that needs a Kanban. It's, reverse of what we would love, which,
yeah,
as you put it, Russell, you start with the problem, you start with the
yeah,
blockage, you
Mhm.
start with
yeah,
the flow issue to Alan. And then you think about what tools might help you to unblock, fix,
yeah.
etc. Not Kanban's are great. I'm going to have three.
I don't know if you've seen it, John, as well, but when you look at LinkedIn, for example, there are so many posts that are out there.
Mm.
Look, as quite rightly as you said, Ross, in terms of trying to hack the system, as if to say, do this, do this. It's all again. We've said this before in the past. Lean is a model, not a script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't. It's not a paint by numbers. It's not a do this, do this, do this, and this happens, because every single situation is different.
Mm.
Okay, where the expertise lies is being able to spot certain pinch points. Okay, and the more experienced, which I hope the three of us are, we're able to pick out and say, generally speaking, if you play the percentages, what we need to do here is X.
Mm.
It's not guaranteed,
Mm.
but that's more likely to happen. Whereas what you tend to find, shall we say, the less experienced, or those are quite early on in their journey, what we don't want them to realize is it is just you do whatever happens, you must do this.
Yeah.
I think we talked on an episode a few months back where we said, we had the conversation about do everything start with 5S?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not necessarily the case. That
No.
might not be the best
Yeah.
place to start. It's understanding, going back to your point, John and Ross, in terms of what is the problem they're trying to solve. Try and generate some quick wins so they can see that. And then coming back to your point, Russell, the quick wins provide the cultural aspect. The quick win is they're bought in. The quick win is they see the benefit and how it applies to them on the shop
Mm.
floor or in the office. And then you can build that momentum up. And then you're in the approach of, again, we've talked about 2-second lean, isn't it? Then that builds that momentum. That's very much
Yeah.
how I see the
Yeah.
2-second lean
Yeah.
side of
But
things.
yeah, agreed. And that's that thing about should we always start with 5S? And the answer is no.
Mhm.
It's and that comes back to Ono and used to start at the point of greatest need. Let's say you have a manufacturing business, and in broad terms, you fabricate, and then you paint, and then you assemble. Yeah, so it's a
Mhm.
three-stage process. And let's say you're shipping crap to your customers, and they're unhappy, and you're losing or about to lose business.
Mm.
Big contracts, yeah. Let's say the 5S in your fabrication shop is carnage, but the defects you're sending out are related to assembly build, yeah?
Mhm.
Why would you walk past hurting your customer to go and do 5S in manufacturing, in
Absolutely.
fabrication?
Yeah.
And that's what I've been this week, I've been trialing a new series of questions to get to know how a business runs.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Do you want to hear them?
I'd love to
Yeah,
hear
go
them.
for it.
Okay, there are like 6 or 7 questions. And I've been playing with this over the years. Okay, so I tip up. I did this with Ryan as well. I wrote them on the board for Ryan Tierney and Sperry Metals, and I said, Ryan, there they are. Let's go after them. And we had 3 hours with him and his team ferreting around the shop and hugs and kidney punches.
Mhm.
So the first question is, what's happening in the markets you sell into? That gives me context from the customer perspective. The second question is, why do you win or lose work? Now, John, you inspired that question from a previous episode, and
One of
it
my
really resonated with
favourites.
me. It really resonated with me. So I thank you for that. That updated my algorithm. That tells me on the win side, they know what the USP is.
Yeah.
And on the lose side, they're connected to the customer. They're listening to the voice of the customer. And if they've got any kind of Hoshin, formal or not, they're going after what loses them work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second question. The third question is, how are you annoying your customers currently? And that's where we get into its lead time, is it price, is it quality,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Fourth question is, are you looking to grow this business? And the answer is generally yes. And then let's say they want to grow from 20 million to 30 million. The question then is, well, do you know what your internal constraint is, your manufacturing constraint is, and do you know what your non-manufacturing constraint is? Now, Al, you've inspired that one because you won't shut up about the theory of constraints, and you're right as well. You're right as well. You have to be. Doing these with you two fellas again has taken me back again to Russ, never forget the constraints. So that's that. Then I say, right, can we go onto the shop and can you take me to finished goods, to some of your end products, so I can sniff them, feel them, lick them, get a sense of the workmanship? Then we stood there just about to go into the shop, and I say, okay, firstly, is today normal? Because there's no point me forming judgments based on what I've heard up front about the market and how you're hurting your customers.
Yeah.
Is today normal tells me, can I rely on what I'm seeing? The second question is, if I work here, what's the number one thing most likely to hurt me?
Yeah.
Good point.
I'm interested in what they tell me there, if it's vague or if it's specific, and that tells me whether they really do have a safety bias. The next question is, what is your number one defect internally? That tells me whether they are Paretoing their quality issues.
Yeah.
And then the final two things are, okay, let's stroll. And can I see the process? Can we walk through the process and take me to somewhere you're proud of? Then I can see the boundaries of their knowledge and the boundaries of what they're doing, and see if they're prideful of the work that people are doing, and take me to somewhere that makes you cry, keeps you awake at night.
Yeah.
Now, in amongst all that tends to form a useful 2.5, 3 hour walk around. And Al, as you said, it's not a script. That framework then lets you go off in millions of directions.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That is fantastic, that, Russ.
Oh,
Really
I
good.
think 2 or 3 things jumped out of that for me. One is we've just heard from a proper lean continuous improvement guy there, because what I could hear is an evolution of Russell's thinking, 'cause we know each other, and maybe the last 3 or 4 questions are classic Russell. They're old school Russell. You can try and stop him asking them, but he won't.
They're also. I always think it was almost like a Hoshin cascade,
Yes, yeah,
because you're starting off with the strategic arm. How well do they know their
yeah.
strategic direction, down to the nitty gritty
Yeah.
on the Gemba.
And
Yeah.
though he's got those classics that he likes and knows and trusts, he was generous to suggest that me and Alan may have influenced his thinking, and therefore he's changed his questions, which is great.
Yeah.
And
Certainly made you and I feel a lot better. Anyway, John.
yeah, well, we forgive him for some of the other stuff he's done. And
Yeah,
then
true.
and then he's added in some new stuff, some new thinking,
Mm.
and he's reinvented it. And that's the essence, I think, of true continuous improvement, because you know what you're doing, Russell. People will employ you, but you've taken what worked and said it's not necessarily good enough. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Go again, new thing. So that jumped out at me, was very interesting. Next thing that jumped out at me, there was 2 actually. One was the what's your internal rejects, biggest internal rejects at the moment. That's an interesting question, because, as you know, if they give you the answer, then you've learned something, i.e. what the biggest reject is and an area to go to. If they can't give you the answer,
You've learned something as well.
you've learned
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens.
Mhm.
you've discovered a way to go. So I think being able to ask questions where you don't go, oh, that one didn't work, where
Mm.
no
true.
matter what the answer, it works is a
Yeah.
great, let's call it a trick. I don't want it to sound like trick pony stuff, but it's a really good sense of have you thought through your lean questions so everyone is incredibly value added. There is no
Mm.
way in which it loses.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the
Yeah.
third one, this is the real philosophical one because you've damaged me now. Just phrase it for me again, Russell. But it was, do you looking to grow the business? Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking to grow the business?
Yeah. Are you looking to grow the business? And as you say, typically most companies are going to say yes.
Mhm.
Now, this is just me. This is a me thing. Whenever I hear about that, I want to ask and don't always do it, why? And I'm not being facetious.
No, no.
I genuinely think that lots of companies want to be bigger. And I don't think they know why. Because as a employer of 1/2 now and again people, why would I want to employ more people? There's a lot of negatives to that.
Mhm.
Would I want a bigger turnover? Actually, all that does is increase my insurance costs and a few other bits and pieces. More profit, yes, we'll always go there. I'd love a bit more profit. More cash potentially. But when they say we want to be bigger, most companies they're actually talking about turnover.
Yeah.
That's how they
Yeah.
measure how big they are. We turn over X millions,
Mhm.
or we employ blah 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 people. And there might be an altruistic angle to the employ lots of people thing, but all you're really doing is increasing risk, danger, complexity, stress, paperwork, documentation, the number of toilets you need in your factory,
Mhm.
all that. Why do they want to grow
Well, that
as
is a follow-on
deeply?
question, John. That is
Mm,
Yeah.
because if the answer is yes, then it's okay. How much by when? And the reason why. And what I find a lot with smaller businesses, they are second generation or third generation. Why do you want to grow? Because I see it as the only way to survive and not screw up a legacy that I was handed, or I
Mhm.
want to do better than my mother or father did.
mm.
Or, as you say, I want to grow because growth is a good thing. Um, but all the pain you pointed out, that needs to be eyes wide open.
I think
And
there's
that's a
a
useful.
big degree of vanity in
Yeah.
companies' desire to grow, though. I genuinely do. I
Mhm.
think a smaller business with a really big bank account, actual cash, profit, um, is the most resilient of all businesses. If you're massive, the banks will look after you for a certain amount of time because you probably owe them a lot of money.
Mhm.
Mm.
Why? That's because they're so bloody big. It's painful if they go down. That's not really a business model. We need to be so big that somebody will save us.
But when you do get to a certain level, John, you do have, should we say, slightly larger organisations that then take an interest with you. We talked briefly before we went on air, didn't we, about
Yeah.
our podcast and YouTube and how
Yeah.
we want to grow and that sort of thing is, and part of those things is, the greater good here is YouTube itself.
Yeah.
As we grow, they'll take more interest. Now, if
Yes.
that's something you want to aspire for,
Yeah.
then that's great. If you don't want to aspire for it, sorry, let me go back. If you do aspire for it, it then arguably opens a lot more doors. You take
Mhm.
Tata, for example, the large organizations open you up to government awareness. It opens a lot more doors and it accelerates growth further. Coming back to Russell's point, asking that question about do you want to grow, I would suggest, and I might be wrong here, that actually the vast majority are going to say yes, but don't really understand why. It's almost like a knee-jerk reaction. Well, and as you go back to what you said before, so what was the phrase old Bruni used to say? Sales is vanity, profit's sanity, cash is the only reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Cash is
right.
king.
Cash is king. All right. So understand, coming, and that brings it all back into from a lean perspective. right, and a flow perspective, actually what you do need is not necessarily increase your sales, but get your orders from A to B as quick, improve the cash cycle.
Yeah,
That's
improve the cash,
basically what it's all about. That's what you do. Exploit your cash.
and you can spend years improving the margin on a static turnover is
Absolutely
what I'm
right.
reading.
Do you mind sharing with us how you got on with Ryan when you went through them? Because you said, I think you did a 2 or 3 hour session
Yeah.
with him. How did that go?
Great. Well, you see, the thing about Ryan Tierney, you're talking about Ryan Tierney at CTIM Matters, who has now bought Spare and Metal. Ryan is great because he is one of the few people you'll meet who is not looking to defend what he's done or his position or the state of his shop or anything. He truly, in a way, more than I do or anybody else I've met, his interest is in, you're here, I'm here, your eyes are different to mine and they're fresh. Let's hear what you got to say.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hear it without filter. It's unusual. It's deeply unusual. I spent 2 hours with him on his own on the shop, walking around, discussing, pointing at things. How's it going through those questions. And then we spent an hour with his team, where it was pretty much a Q&A. I've got a question about this. What about that? What about the other? And the good news is I got a brew and a chocolate bar during that. However, Ryan, if you're listening, I'm sure you aren't. Paul Nolan at Admin Still Sheds still beat you on personalized merch.
Pull your finger out, Ryan.
But yeah, it went well. Is that the answer you wanted, Al?
Yeah, he comes. Ryan. I mean, I've watched countless numbers of the YouTube videos he's put on. He just sounds like a guy who's so full of energy, and that's half the battle, isn't it? Sometimes it's just having the passion for the subject and being able to portray it, and as you say, be completely unfiltered. You know, he's quite happy to show the current state. Whereas you find so many organisations, what they want to do is show what they believe is their after, the glistening, shiny shop floor. When actually, we all three of us know we've walked into many, many factories, and arguably you can go into arguably better businesses that don't look have the pristine gleam and shine. Okay. You go into some businesses that do have the pristine gleam and shine, and you've only got to scratch the surface and you see it's absolute chaos underneath.
Lipstick on a pig. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
But it's funny, a common theme to the discussions this week is 2 second lean companies. They're doing strong things. They are quite often owner led, and there's a lot of energy in the owner. But some of the discussions I've had during the last week are, look, you are hardwired for change. You freaking love it. You did this stuff at home. It's your business, so you have a strong reason. But there is only so much change a business can tolerate at any point in time.
Yeah.
And there are people in there who aren't anti-change. They're not anti-change. It's quite unsettling for them. You're changing so much in such a short time that they just can't keep up mentally, and it creates a stress. So the reason for
the velocity, you mentioned velocity before.
Velocity, yeah. It's don't do too much. But listen, I think we need to wrap up soon. But the time thing, gents, you, based on my questions and also your responses, the question that popped into my head is, can you be a lean company if you're not growing? Okay. Now, Art Byrne drove lean at Lantec and somewhere else as well. Really did well. His definition of lean is it's a time-based growth strategy. It's a time-based growth strategy. I liked that. I still like it. I like it partially because growth might not refer to revenue. It might refer to capability.
Yeah.
Growth is a nicely broad word that you can use what you want. What do you think of that? Lean is a time-based growth strategy.
I was going to say then, is it growth of what was my initial, and exactly. A lot of people will think it's sales naturally. Okay. For me, the next thought I had was actually, if you focus it on cash, okay, that's what you want to grow the speed of, is the growth of the speed of the cash. And you can only do that, going back to your point, Russ, is if you involve people and get them the right mindset, because you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Would be my take on that. Yeah.
a time-based growth strategy, reducing time is the lever that releases cash.
Yeah, yeah,
So it fits cash as a result of time improvement.
Yeah.
yeah. What about yourself,
Arguably.
John?
I think the words threw me. Time-based growth strategy put the emphasis on growth. And when I'm back into my own personal argument about,
Yeah.
why do you want to grow? But if you then put the stress on time, you're looking for opportunities to take time out or give yourself more time.
Mhm.
Yeah, then it makes sense. Not sure it would be my favored way of describing lean. For me, it's reducing effort, stress, resources required strategy so that I can do the same things without as
Yeah.
much money, without as much time, without as much stress, without as much mistakes.
Oh, you're getting a bit dangerous there, mate. With less people, well, okay, less people.
With less people are required. Now,
Okay.
this is where growth
Mhm.
does come in a positive way for me. We are all universal, that
Mhm.
if your lean strategy is to remove people, then your lean strategy will fail and is morally bankrupt. And unless you've got a business for as everybody's a contractor, then that's a fully flexible manpower model. But if they're your people, then this is why growth is problematic. You are looking after those people, and you've got to grow the business.
I
In
see what
other
you mean.
words, bring in
There's
enough
the moral
work
and social responsibility that you have as a leader. Yeah.
to look
Yeah,
after those folk and
correct.
make sure that you can afford to pay them
Mm.
and afford to pay them more next week. So
Mm.
there's where that's where growth lies for me.
Yeah.
However, when Bert and Ernie decide to take early retirement, which is a great thing, it's the theme of my life at the moment, when they decide to take early retirement, the lean business goes, "Way, well done, Bert and Ernie. Yay, see ya." And then carries on. The unlean business has to hire two, probably three, because they're less experienced people to come in to do the jobs that have been vacated because the job has not got slicker, leaner, and the new folk are not going to be as experienced and they're going to make more mistakes. And the new people are going to be less experienced and less flexible. So that's why you need three of them instead of two of them. So,
Yeah.
yes, I will go back to lean is about reducing the amount of effort, the amount of money, the amount of stress, the amount of people that you need to do a job. It doesn't mean pushing them out the doors, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's redeployment.
Great.
Giving yourself
That-
more
valid.
capacity.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
sounds like a fine place to end this one, gents.
It is, guys. Listen, that's been fascinating. I really like those questions, Russ. Thanks for sharing those with us. That's it for another episode of the Rest is Lean podcast. So thanks to you, John. Thanks to you, Russell. And to
Aye.
everybody listening or watching us on YouTube, don't forget you can see us on all good streaming platforms as well. And the email is, John.
The rest is lean at gmail.com.
See, you nearly. I put you on the spot there, mate.
Yeah.
There you go. So,
And
like,
I don't know. I'll start talking and see if it comes out.
and to that end, thanks very much for watching or listening wherever you are. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so also, and we'll see you on the next episode. All the best. Cheers, guys.
See you, folks.
Later.